Hey everyone, Jono here, back again with another Forbidden Memories challenge run. In our last video, Bean Soldier successfully defeated the eggplant antagonist, saved Egypt, and earned himself a star on our boards, so let's go ahead and add that on now. Being somewhat fond of punishing myself via Forbidden Memories for your viewing pleasure, a fun little idea came to mind. Can I beat YuGiOh Forbidden Memories without accessing the main menu? Didn't specify that it was going to be fun for me, so with that, let's go over the rules. The main menu is banned for this playthrough, except for the explicit purpose of reloading our save data. This means we will not have access to free mode, trading, nor the password machine. Rule number 2. No save scumming duelists. Saving and resetting before each duel to obtain a specific card goes against the spirit of not having access to free duel. So I'll be playing every card as it's dealt to me by non-repeatable opponents. Rule number 3. No RNG manipulation. Not for any particular reason, I simply just can't do it. And lastly, rule number 4. All opponents must be dueled. The starting deck is what's going to make or break this run. We'll need to continuously start a new game until we are provided with a decent enough deck to work with. Your starting deck is determined from when you enter your duelist code. This isn't save scumming as the game has not started yet, so have fun watching the opening sequence over and over again. I know I did. Several new games later, 38 to be exact, I give up and land on this deck. It has one dragon and most importantly, Dragon Treasure. Dragon Treasure is an essential equip card based on the monsters I plan to use in this run. This is probably going to be my only copy given how lucky I'll need to be to obtain it as a random drop. The first half of the game up until the tournament finals will be a cakewalk. We will however need to do some research into each opponent. This is so we can select the most optimal card from their drop table. It doesn't mean we're going to win the said card, but we want to give ourselves the best chance of attaining it by hitting a target rank. Our first opponent is going to be Simon. The cards I want from him are Spellbinding Circle or Horn of Light. Those come from his S-Tech drop table. Unfortunately, our deck isn't capable of S-Teching unless we go for a deck out strategy. There is a later opponent who will offer us a better chance at these cards. So for this, I'm not going to waste our time spending $35 for a hopeful deck out. We're just going to kick him hard like a jam vending machine and hope we get a decent payout. If we hit his S-Pow table, the best card he will drop us is Blackland Fire Dragon. Don't get too excited, it's a 1.46% chance. Still better than finding Chansey in the Safari Zone. Looking at the way things are playing, we're on to the last turn of the duel. Attacking with Tongyo, Gigatech Wolf, and Nekagal number 2, Simon goes down, and the first card of our run is Blackland Hide Your Kids, Hide Your Wife Fire Dragon. Alright, I know this is a bit of an overreaction, but I wrote Simon out of my route for the sheer fact that this was not going to be a likely encounter. I will take what I can get, so let's head on down to the duel grounds. Our next opponent is going to be Teana. Let's head on over and update our deck and jump straight into another duel. Teana is a free opponent. She is underwhelming in power and in her drop tables. All three of them have less than 20 cards to pick from, which sounds good on paper, but those odds are dominated by weak monsters, all with about an 8 to 9% chance of dropping. Every other card that's half decent is a less than 1% chance. Every monster dropped is less than 500 attack, and she does give you some decent equips and spells if you move over to the S table, specifically Dark Hole and Sword of Dark Destruction. If she was a repeatable duelist, I'd be going for the fake trap card. But alas, we only have one attempt. And to top things off, if you don't duel her right here and now, you lock yourself out of any further encounters. She becomes unavailable the minute you leave the duel grounds. But enough of that. Getting back to the duel, we land our final attack with Sword Arm of Dragon, and the card we're awarded is a Skull Servant. Choosing the option to talk to somebody else places us in front of Villager 1, aka Giselle. This is where things start to pick up. Villager 1 is the first semi-repeatable opponent we encounter in this playthrough. After defeating him in a duel, you can rebattle him again a second time after the Seto encounter. Then, when you get to the new duel grounds, he can be dueled repeatedly up until you defeat all of the mages. This is unnecessarily convoluted. They should have just made him repeatable in all circumstances for the story, but I guess that's what the purpose of free duel is for. Anywho, the key cards I'm hoping to target from him are any of the field spell cards, any generic spell cards, and Fake Trap. I'll also settle with any other equip he decides to drop us. Now you've probably heard me mention Fake Trap a number of times so far. Fake Trap is especially important in this playthrough, as this is the card we're going to use to pull off any tech rank without having to resort to a deck out. Utilizing 3 traps in a duel affects your score by 15, which is equivalent to 1.5 ranks towards the direction of tech. This is what I use off screen when I do most of my equip card grinding. Getting back to the duel, we land the final attack with a mystery hand, and our draw this time is a Griggle. Not bad, but not good either. One attempt exhausted, so let's try again for this one later. Moving on, we face up against Mai Valentine. He is another semi-repeatable opponent. He behaves the exact same way as Villager 1 in terms of replay. As for his dueling ability, he is much stronger than his prior counterpart, but as a reward, he has a fantastic drop table. On the B, C, D rank side, the key targets would be Dragon Zombie, One-Eyed Shield Dragon, and the bulk of thunders that he has. Over on the S-Tech side, this is where things start to really open up for us. He has 6 different equip cards, Dark Hole, and most importantly, Invisible Wire. Invisible Wire is another trap card that activates when a monster with 2000 attack points or less declares an attack. When we look at the ranking, if you activate 5 traps in the duel, it changes your rank by 24 points. That is close to 2.5 ranks in the direction of tech. Long story short, the more traps you use, the better your chances of an A-Tech. Landing the finishing blow with Garvis and Arm Ninja, Mai Valentine goes down. He awards us a Wandering Doomed. Darn. None of the cards we were hoping to get. Oh well. That's another attempt exhausted, so let's move on to Old Greg. Old Greg, Villager 3, is the last opponent in the grounds. He cannot be rebattled after defeating him. In addition to that, he behaves exactly like Teana, in that leaving the grounds will lock you out of any further duels with him. So yeah, don't do anything stupid like, exiting to save your game, because you'll trigger a cutscene and lock yourself out of this encounter until you hit New Game Plus. Quality game design right there. In terms of Old Greg's drop tables, he drops 2 other dragon cards for us and 2 more equip cards. If I was able to tech rank, I would definitely be going for that, given that his S-Tech table drops a bunch of good equip cards and 2 trap cards. Sadly, no save scumming, so I'm not going to try a deck out. Instead, I'm going for the BCD rank to have a shot at his dragons. It feels strangely weird to play Forbidden Memories without a monotype deck. I have forgotten most of the cross-type fusions. I will say I'm having fun thus far. It started to unlock some of those nostalgic memories for me. Better enjoy it while it lasts, because it goes without saying that our go-to fusion for the bulk of this playthrough is going to be Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. I guess I should have said spoiler alert, but really that's only going to be a spoiler to those select few of you in the chat that have not played this game before. Anywho, getting back to the duel, we land our final attack with Queen of Autumn Leaves, and Old Greg goes down. The card he awards us is an Axe of Despair. That's actually not that bad of a drop, since it works on both Fiends and Beast Warriors. Thanks, Old Greg. Now that we've cleared every opponent, it's time to exit and kick off the next cutscene. I am speeding this up to 250% because I am itching to get to our next victory. I think I'm slowly developing an addiction back into this game. The randomness of the drops, it hits the soul. Anywho, exiting the town plaza, we make our way back to the grounds and face off against our first repeatable opponent, that being Jono. Or at least he becomes repeatable after you defeat Seto. I hope you enjoy this opponent. If you don't, pop those clarifying boluses now. The amount of times you're going to be rebattling him is straight up madness. On a side note, I still haven't beaten Everdark Libra. Getting back on track, the cards we desire from Jono are his Fake Trap, his Bear Trap, Baby Dragon, Sword of Dark Destruction, and Yamatano Dragon Scroll. Getting at least 3 trap cards from Jono will unlock the ability to A-Tech our opponents. Outside of deck out, of course. But till then, let's play out the remainder of this duel and see if we can get a head start on some of those dragons. Or alternatively, we summon out the mighty Bean Soldier and just start sweeping the hell out of Jono. Clearing away his field, we land the final attack with the Soldier and Jono drops us, haven't done that in a while, the Melting Red Shadow. Bum bum, bit of a crap card, oh well. On to Seto 1. This is the only chance we'll have to fight Seto 1. There is one card in his S-Tech drop table I'm going for, that being of course Raigeki, which sadly drops at a 0.88% chance. Oh wait, I can't even go for it, because I'd need to deck the guy out in order to pull it off. I don't have 3 trap cards. When will I get 3 trap cards? Directly after this duel, because after we defeat Seto, we have another crack at all the duelists in the grounds. So let's whack this guy like a piñata and see what falls out in the meantime. The strongest cards Seto can throw out at us are Guy the Fierce Knight, Lajin the Mystical Genie, Battle Locks, and maybe if he pulls off 1 or 2 fusions that result in a Pumpkin, or a Mystical Sand from past experiences. But I digress. Getting back to the duel, Seto doesn't summon anything too powerful. Drawing up a dead hand, we dump literally everything and leave Embryonic Beast on the field. Shame I don't have a Time Wizard yet. Regardless, I hit him for 500 attack points to assert my dominance. We are now on to the last turn of the game. Seto leaves a monster with 550 attack points, which is easy prey for Dark Shade. Attack once with Dark Shade, attack twice with Neku, and we finish things off with Tongyo. Seto goes down, and he awards us a mystical capture chain. Alright, buckle yourselves in people. Bidding goodbye to Seto and saying hi to our friends once more, it's time to start some good old fashioned grinding. The target is Jono 1. We can duel him repeatedly. We can even leave the grounds, save our game, and come back. 469 duels later, yes, that many, we get 2 Yamatano Dragon Scrolls, 3 Baby Dragons, 3 Fake Traps, 3 Time Wizards, 3 Lala Liloons, a mix of equips in Legendary Sword Kunaiwi Chain, and the spell card Sparks. With a heck of a lot more cards at our disposal, we rig up our deck to pull off an A-Tank rank. This is what it looks like. The monsters don't really matter so long as we're capable of initiating at least 5 fusions. Having a second chance at both Villager 1 and Villager 2, on screen is the setup I plan to pull off for both duels. I'm hoping for Beast Fangs from Villager 1, and either a Beast Fangs or Invisible Wire from Villager 2. This is what they dropped us. Villager 1 gave us the Mighty Zone Eater, and Villager 2 dropped us Wood Remains. Having finished our adventures in the duel grounds, we save our game and head on over to the palace. Upon encountering Simon, he throws us in a sack and tosses us in our room. Retreating to his chamber, he tunes into the Huntrix concert. Before he gets a chance at a sing-along, he hears a commotion outside. Having trashed the palace once more, Heishin appears before Simon, clutching what I can only imagine to be the Forbidden Memories main menu. Really, Heishin? Right in front of the Honmoon? Buzzing out of our room, Physis does a Mokuba and gets captured again. Knowing this song and dance all too well, we run outside, say hi to Seto, grab a puzzle from Simon, run back the way we came, and bump into Heishin. Probably should have thought this one through a bit more. Anywho, Story Heishin is a semi-repeatable duelist. I say semi-repeatable because you have to win each time in order to re-challenge him. Easier said than done. My deck isn't as strong as I'd like it to be. I need more copies of Embryonic Beast, since Summon Skull hits the field with 3000 attack, which means that I'd only need 1 equip card to tie with his strongest 2 monsters. It's a gamble. To even win 1 match, I'll be happy with just that. Nonetheless, if I'm able to defeat him, I'll be targeting either Labyrinth Wall at any B, C, D rank, or Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, if I can somehow pull an A rank out of my backside. Heishin has the best odds of dropping Twin Head. There is one other semi-repeatable opponent we can challenge, but for now, this is what we have right now, and let's try our luck and see how we go. The duel on screen is the last winning attempt. I'll tell you how many duels I was able to pull off. For this cycle, we get a Cosmo Queen at the start, which is not too bad actually. Given that she usually starts with a Venus sign, this means that she's weak to Moon. This means she loses to Summon Skull. Hello old friend, how I've missed you. We aren't out of the woods yet. Though Story Heishin led with a Cosmo Queen, it doesn't necessarily mean that he won't top deck a stronger monster at some point. He also likes to use Megamorph, because he's a maidenless poopy buttface, or at least that's what I've been told. Going by this current turn, it looks like he hasn't top decked anything spectacular. As a bit of extra assurance, I'm going to power up Summon Skull with Sword of Dark Destruction. For those that didn't know, Sword of Dark Destruction and Legendary Sword are the only 2 equip cards that have equip animations. Anywho, giving Summon Skull the red rocket, he's boosted to 3500 attack. This means we should stand a chance against his perfectly ultimate Great Moth and Zero the Mont. Going by the current state of life points, we are now on to the last turn of the game. Fusing ourselves out of Black Dragon Jungle King, we attack Super War Lion with Summon Skull, and hit for exactly 2100 against his life points. Heishin goes down. The card he awards us is a Nemoriko. And that is the only card he awarded us, because straight after this, I lost. How did I lose? Megamorphed Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. He is indeed a maidenless poopy buttface. With Heishin out of the way, we are now into the modern era. Going by today's date, there hasn't been a YCS yet. The next one is scheduled for Vancouver. What Konami has given us instead is an update to the infraction rules for tournaments, specifically slow plays. At the end of a round, you are no longer given a time extension to cater for slow plays. Once the round is over, it's over. With that exposition out of the way, it's time to continue the tournament. Our next opponent is Rex Raptor. For this duel, I'm going to play it normally and go for a BCD rank. I can attempt an A-Tech for a chance at a Beast Fangs or Invigoration, however these drop at a 1.76% chance. Alternatively, if we just stick to the BCD, I have a chance at Beast Fangs, which is still attainable, albeit at a 0.93% chance, and he can also drop us Thunders in the process. There is an opponent I plan to target later on for these drops, so let's just have a break and try our luck at our Chansey Safari Zone odds of a Beast Fang. Random fact, when I played Leaf Green, it took me that long to find a Chansey that I had actually bumped into a shiny Execute. Like with all good things, it ran away from me. Anywho, getting back to the duel, we clear away his last monster, but don't finish him off. I need to make sure that I'm actually getting the BCD rank. I'm pretty sure we're at least a B power, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Setting a face down monster and passing an extra turn, Rex goes down. He awards us a Ryukushin. We're going to leave our deck as it is for our next opponent, because it's time for Weevil. Weevil doesn't offer us anything groundbreaking. The best thing he would drop for our current deck is Blackland Fire Dragon from both his A Power and BCD tables. His S-Tech table does give us a chance at a few decent equips and the Invisible Wire Trap card, but in all honesty, it's not worth the effort. Let's preserve the remaining sanity we have left and go for the BCD rank. Oh, and apologies once again, I seem to have gotten sick midway through making these videos again. Welcome to life with a toddler. It's a revolving door of diseases. Speaking of things diseased, Weevil activates a forest and boosts his Drygumo up to 2700 attack. That is a slight problem for us. We'll need to bring out a twin-headed Thunder Dragon to hit over it, or alternatively, fuse into a Thousand Dragon and give it the Mars Guardian sign. Fortunately for us, our next turn gives us the materials for a twin head. The rest of this duel is as good as complete. After clearing out one of Weevil's monsters, he goes on the defensive and starts shifting things into defense mode. I will say, I miss having Raigeki in my deck. It would have really sped up clearing away his field for the final attack. But nonetheless, bringing out a Black Dragon Jungle King, we clear away whatever he has left, he summons out absolutely nothing, and we continue to intimidate him by summoning out the almighty Zone Eater. Which, by the way, only released to the TCG as part of the McDonald's promotional cards. I had no idea. I randomly found it in my collection and I just thought it came from a starter deck. Nope, purely a Macca's exclusive card. We are now on to the final turn of the game. Summoning out a Stone Ghost, we take out his Tenderness and attack directly with Black Dragon Jungle King. Weevil goes down and we are awarded with the Guardian of the Labyrinth, at a C rank nonetheless. Heading over to Teana, we save our game and make a slight update to our deck. In preparation for the duel against Mai, I'm kicking out all of the equip cards other than Dragon Treasure and slotting in 3 spells and 3 traps. I spent far too long trying to figure out what to target from Mai, but ultimately I landed on the A-Tech route. Mai drops stage 2 dragons from a BCD table. Her S-Tech table, however, gives us a chance at Acid Trap Hole. This is going to be handy for S-Teching our later opponents, especially those who carry Feather Duster in their back row, or the Menacing Dark Hole. Foreshadowing. Anywho, if I fail to trigger 3 traps in a duel, I'll need to add on another 5 fusions and use up to 37 cards to compensate, so having a spare is really going to help me out. This also brings us to an extra little rule I'll be following during these S-Tech attempts. I cannot intentionally throw the duel if a tech route does not go my way. It just goes against the spirit of things. With our current setup, however, we are definitely at risk of decking out, since we're close to exhausting over 35 cards in our deck. In the case of a loss, we take it on the chin and try again, but we must try again using the same route. I can't change my mind and switch to an A power just because I feel like it. Goes against the spirit of things once more. Anywho, we've thus far utilised 2 traps, 1 equip, and 2 spells. I've lost count of the amount of fusions, which is going to happen a lot. So long as we have at least 5, we'll be fine. Due to my continued goldfish memory, I've also lost track of the amount of turns. Also, expect to see lots of that too. I glossed over what Mai can actually award us. I will be hoping for an acid trap hole, but aside from that, if you're able to tech rank her, she will drop Harpy's Feather Duster and Spellbinding Circle. She also drops all female related equip cards, such as Electro Whip and Cyber Shield. As a consolation prize, she can also drop Invisible Wire, which is still useful for pulling off S-Techs since it activates for monsters with 2000 attacks or less. It does start to drop off when we hit any of the mages. Getting back to the duel, I think we've activated at least 3 spell cards. All that's left now is to grind out the last fake trap, there we go, set it, hope she doesn't duster it, and then drop about, I think, 10 cards. Given that I also haven't kept track of the fusions, I'm just going to keep fusing at every opportunity I have. It's good to see Spike Seedra again. You really start to unlock its potential when you mix it in a deck with other types. As you might have seen in the Shadi video, if you mix Spike Seedra with a Spellcaster, you'll get Kaminari Attack. If you mix Spike Seedra with a Thunder, you'll get Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. If you mix Spike Seedra with a Turtle, you'll get Seeking Dragon. And if you mix it with an Aqua, depending on the level of the Aqua, you should get Karyushin, but you could get Aqua Dragon, I cannot remember from memory. And naturally, of course, being a base dragon, you have access to every other dragon fusion, like Dragon Zombie, Curse of Dragon, etc, etc. We are now on to the last turn of the game. Fusing every single card in our hand to get our card count down the lowest, we attack her directly and win. I will say that I did lose to Mai. 2 of my S-Tech attempts were a deck out, which meant that it took me a total of 3 duels to defeat her. And the award for this was Lord of the Lamp. Ah, useless. Though we missed out on an acid trap hole, our next opponent gives us a second chance. I'm of course talking about Bandit Keith. Granting him a trip down memory lane, we activate Sparks and set him on fire, giving him a good reminder of what happened to him in the anime. Now, for those wondering what I've been talking about when I mention drop tables, the opponents in Forbidden Memories have 3 card pools they can select from when they decide to award you a card. The pool is selected depending on your rank. The S or A power table, otherwise known as the Total Annihilation table, is the first table, and it typically contains monsters with high attack stats and very little if any spells or traps. On the opposite end, we have the SA Tech table, or the Attrition table. This is the table that will favour equips, spells, traps and rituals over powerful monster cards. All other ranks in between sit in another table that I call the BCD table. Being the worst of both sides, your card options are poor, but certain opponents give you a chance at some decent monsters and decent equips, albeit of course at reduced rates. Typically, if you're going for a spell or trap card, S-Tech is the way to go. If you're going for a strong monster card, A-Power gives you the better odds. These drop tables are probably what broke most of us as kids. Trying to beat this game without an FAQ was basically a nightmare, no pun intended. The explanation of this rank system is covered in more detail in the Japanese game guide. Outside of that, the game manual is all that you have as a point of reference. And does it give you any reference? Not really. All that the game manual tells you is that to get a power rank, you need to reduce your opponent's life points as fast as possible, and then do the opposite if you want a tech rank. That's about it for the explanation. The duel is still going. We're about 1 spell and 2 traps into it. I'm pretty sure I've hit the fusion requirement by now, so all that's left is to pop 1 more trap, 3 more spells, and throw out half our deck. Now, the card I said we'd target from Keith was Acid Trap Hole. He does have a few other handy spells and equips that would also warrant a tech rank. Metal Morph drops from all of Keith's tables, but has the highest odds from his S-Tech table. Outside of Sebek, he's the only opponent that drops that card. As you saw in the plant run, it has some pretty good fusion potential. He also has some surprisingly high odds in awarding us a Dragon Zombie, that being a 5.6% chance. Yes, those are high odds when it comes to this game. All in all, there are at least 5 cards we'd want to target from him, so I'm hoping we get at least one decent one out of this duel. And speaking of this duel, let's get back to it. I believe we are now down to the last turn of the game. Having popped off our last fake trap, we activate Sogen, which gives us our last spell, and just to be on the safe side, rather than ending things here, we're going to give him one extra turn and dump the rest of our hand. Actually, no, hold on. We've only activated 3 spells instead of 4. Activating Sparks, we ditch him for 50 life points, ooh, and then pass things back to him. Unfortunately, given that I left a monster on his field, he takes out Black Dragon Jungle King. Thankfully, I draw into a Time Wizard and Embryonic Beast, so it's time to summon the Skull. Realizing that I actually need to dump a few more cards, I pass the turn once more, sorry about this guys, and this should now be the final turn. Having pulled off every fusion I can possibly do, and leaving myself with 2 cards in the deck, we finish off Bandit Keith. An attack from Thousand Dragon seals the deal, and he awards us a Fiend's Hand. Like with Mai, I ended up decking myself out once, so it took me 2 attempts to defeat Keith. Saving our game, we have now entered the Shadi cutscene. After talking to Joey, Shadi appears before us. We ignore him for the next 30 seconds, then jump cut straight into a duel. Our deck is set up for the S-Tech once more. Why? Well, one word Priatelli, Raigeki. Shadi has the highest odds of dropping Raigeki. This is one of the reasons why I spent all that time farming traps and spells. There is a slight problem however. Shadi is a pushover of a duelist. If you lose to him, you suck at this game, and you should end your career right here, right now. Being the pushover that he is, it's going to be difficult to get him to attack into our cards. I know from the AI hard mode of this game, as well as my own Shadi run, he is capable of fusing into some decent things. This isn't the hard mod however. Honestly, I'm at a greater risk of decking myself out than I am to losing at his dueling skill. That actually happened during the Sea Serpent video, because we only had 1 monster in our deck. Aside from Raigeki, going via the tech route also grants us a chance at Beast Fangs, Invigoration, Umi, and 2 other Thunder monsters. Umi and Raigeki have the same drop rate, at about a 1.76% chance. The other 2 equips aren't far behind. Those sit at a 1.17% chance. The problem, however, is what sits between those odds. There are 14 trash monsters that drop at a 1.46% chance. So, we are very likely to be screwed by 14 monsters. No black sofa required. If you were specifically targeting the Umi spell card, you have a better chance in the BCD table. It drops at a 2.15% chance. It's actually the highest card he'll award you in that table. And again, those other 14 monsters are still part of that same lot. So yeah, have fun navigating between those. As a consolation, his BCD table does give you a chance of Beast Fangs and Power of Heishin. They do, however, drop at a 0.98% chance. Still, if you're only capable of BCD ranking, Shadi is the best opponent to be farming those from. The others that will give you Beast Fangs at a B rank are Rex Raptor and Seto3. Same goes for Power of Heishin actually. He is the only opponent that will award that to you in a B rank. So yeah, if you really want that card, Shadi ironically is also the best opponent to farm for it. Getting back to the duel, we've done about 2 traps and I think it was 3 spells. I can't remember who ended up setting that meadow field. Fortunately, we draw into our last trap and Shadi has a fairly stacked field. That's actually going to be a problem. Given that I don't have Raigeki, we're rather scarce on monsters. And I also left Shadi on 350 life points, so any accidental attack is going to bring this duel to a closure early. I summon out something strong and give him the opportunity to set his entire field to defense mode. Perfectly, I do end up drawing into a dragon treasure, so that ticks off the 1 equip needed for this duel. Having 2 strong monsters, we start clearing away his side of the field. I am fairly certain we've hit the required number of fusions, but again, memory of a goldfish, so I'm going to keep fusing and pepper him with sparks when I get the chance. My card count is getting into the danger zone. Having 6 cards left doesn't leave me with much to clear away his field. I need to conserve my resources. Thankfully, I think now it's only a matter of time of exhausting 9 turns before I land the finishing blow. Having cleared away his entire field, he is one attack left from defeat. Dumping out the entirety of our hand, leaving us with probably every single card exhausted, we attack his face down and finish things off with Lila Liloon. Shadi goes down and he awards us a Kappa. Friggin' Kappa. Ah, screw you, mate. How dare you meme in my challenge run? Regardless, I'm still going to sneak him into our deck. Heading into match number 2 of the finals, we're up against Yami Buttkura. We're going through the tech route again. From an overall drop table perspective, the odds are pretty balanced, with most cards being a 1.5 to a 1.95% chance of dropping, if I kind of oversimplify the statistics there. Yami Buttkura carries 4 traps, those being Fake Trap, Invisible Wire, Acid Trap Hole, and Bad Reaction to Simochi. We want Invisible Wire or Acid Trap Hole in that combo. Simochi isn't all that great in this game, since you've likely already won if your opponent had to resort to life point recovery. Moving on to the equip department, he drops Black Pendant, Silver Bow and Arrow, Book of Secret Arts, and the highly desirable Bright Castle. We have, off the top of my head, about 4 chances to obtain this equip, Yami Buttkura being our first opportunity, so that's the main reason why I'm going for the S-Tech. In the spell department, he has a few on offer. We have Crush card at a mighty 0.1% chance, lowest odd of any card drop, which is then followed by Harpy's Feather Duster, which redeems itself at a 1.5% chance. Then, in the less desirable bucket but still useful, Umi and Warrior Elimination. I lack the attention span to go for S-Techs, but nonetheless, we're going to hit them for almost every opponent in the tournament. Sorry peeps, but never fear, things will start to speed up when we hit Egypt. Getting back to our duel, we have the opposite of a speed up. Yami Buttkura seems to be attempting an S-Tech on us. Truthfully, I don't think I've seen an entire back row of spell and traps. And to top things off, he threw a spellbinding circle at us. Not that great, but it's okay. Fumbling through my hand, I eventually fuse out the required cards for another twin-headed Thunder Dragon. Unfortunately, I think I've made my field a little too strong, since he's walled us with his Millennium Shield. I need to summon something exceedingly weak so he can trigger my trap cards. And there we go, we drew into another. Filling our field with 3 fake traps, it's time to bait him into an attack. We pass the turn back to him, and he responds with an ultimate middle finger. He activated Dark Hole. If you're wondering why the screen faded to black, I stopped the recording because I was about to rage quit. However, as I am a man of integrity, I play the cards as they're dealt. We resume the recording and go for the BCD rank. At best, we can hope for an Umi. Unfortunately, this was a colossal waste of time. With the way things have played out, there is a good chance that I might actually lose this. Popping off a Sogan, we try and weaken his Gemini Elf. Unfortunately, he fuses into a Crimson Sunbird with an empty field and we are left with 600 life points. Pulling ourselves into a lucky baby dragon, we fuse out a Thousand Dragon and equip it with Dragon Treasure. We are now back on top, and we need to swing fast to make sure that we don't run out of cards. Buttkura is once again hanking for a spanking and activates a Spellbinding Circle. Thankfully, it just negated the equip card. Bringing out the amazing Queen of Autumn Leaves, we hit for 1800 and leave him on 1250. Things should be over in the next turn so long as we don't screw up. Drawing up our last hand, doing some quick math in my head, we're going to go with a Pumpkin. Time Wizard into Fire Reaper makes Magical Ghost, with another plant makes Pumpkin. We attack Gemini Elf with Thousand Dragon and land the finishing blow with our Pumpkin. Buttkura goes down, and for our efforts we get a Camion Wizard. A friggin' useless card. Thanks for eating away at my sanity, it's not like I needed it. I'm sure Pegasus is a balanced enough opponent who won't resort to cheating or RNG abuse to make my life a living hell. Is that foreshadowing? Friggin' might be. Let's play the duel and find out. Because it goes without saying, we're going for the S-Tech because we want everything he could potentially throw at us. Give me Bright Castle, give me Megamorph, give me a freaking break because I want to go back to 3-turn wins. Anywho, Pegasus is the bane of every speedrunner's existence, since he's the only viable opponent that will drop Megamorph during a run, and this run is no exception. Megamorph, Bright Castle, Dragon Capture Jar, Dragon Treasure, Crush Card, and Harpy's Feather Duster are some of the things that would drop from his S-Tech table. Chef friggin' kiss on what a tech table should look like. Seriously. There is a slight problem however. Pegmeister is canonically a maidenless a-hole, who I am 99% certain will drop a Raigeki or a Feather Duster against us. And knowing my luck, he might slap down a Meteor Black Dragon for good measure. Who knows? Nonetheless, I'll be playing things safe, setting one trap at a time so that it reduces the chance of him being spooked into a Duster. Results have not been too consistent with that. Most of the time he'll just do it out of spite. Immediately after saying this, I forgot my own strategy and set 2 fake traps. Guess I should have expected that retaliatory Raigeki. Which isn't a bad thing, it means he can attack and trigger our traps. But of course, we're dealing with Pegasus, and he is playing exactly how I expected. He uses a freaking Feather Duster, so we can kiss the S-Tech goodbye for this match. Behaviour like this is exactly why Cecilia exploded on you. You're lonely for a reason. Anywho, all hope is not lost. Pegasus does drop Dragon Treasure in his BCD table, so he still has something to hope for. And I guess on the plus side, this duel should go a little bit faster than the others. We are now on to the last 2 turns of the game. Pegasus sends a monster in defense mode, so we fuse out another card, attack into his face down, not taking any chances this time, and attack once with Queen of Autumn Leaves and finish things off with High Sub. We win! Pegasus goes down, and for our efforts, we get a Fusionist. That was colossally terrible. Let's see whether we can pick things up with Ishizu. BCD rank is the way to go. Dragon Treasure or Widespread Ruin are what we're after. Going by my chat plays Forbidden Memory streams, she does not like to drop any of those. Ishizu's S-Tech table is as stacked as Pegasus. She can award us a Crush card, Feather Duster, Dragon Treasure, 8 other equips, dragons, and sea serpents. Why am I mentioning sea serpents? Well, most of them have a dual typing of dragon, and Spiked Seadra in particular has a neat little gimmick of fusing into Kaminari attack when you combine it with a spellcaster. Getting back to Ishizu, arguably she is one of the better opponents to farm in Free Duel. Even if you just attempt her BCD table, she'll award you a Widespread Ruin, Dragon Treasure, and Umi. Their rates of course are dropped to a 1.56% chance, instead of their 1.78% rates in the S table. Nonetheless, she's my go-to opponent in Free Duel most of the time. Apologies if my microphone sounds a bit weird. My pop filter quite literally disintegrated, so yeah, working on getting another one. Anywho, I've mentioned Ishizu's S-Tech table and her BCD table, but what's in her A-Power table? Aside from dropping 7 coloured fish at 1800 attack, the rest of the cards she can award us surprisingly are also dragons, with a Spiked Seadra and Umi thrown in as well. Seriously, no matter what table you're using, she's really keen on giving those 2 cards to you. Getting back to the duel, Ishizu pops off her trusty spellbinding circles. She uses those often. They're not too much of a problem, but she does have a tendency of spamming the ever-loving frick out of them. This is the exact reason why I've left her on 950 life points. I don't want to take any chances. And there's another card we need to be cautious of as well. There we go, there's another spellbinding circle, what did I tell ya? As I was saying, we need to be cautious of her Swords of Revealing Light. Given that I'm going to be running this deck under 35 cards, there's a good chance she might force a deck out if she uses it on any of those last turns. There we go, here's Spellbinding Circle number 3. That poor pot the trick sitting there with 0 attack and 0 defense points. I'm sorry my dude, the fake traps have run out. Looking at our tally, we can tick off 3 traps and 1 equip card. Oh frick me, there's 1 Swords of Revealing Light. This slightly makes me worried. As a precaution, I'm going to be playing only 1 to 2 cards per turn. I still need to trigger at least 3 spell cards. Using that previous Sparks puts us as 2 spell cards. With respect to fusions, I definitely think we've hit the number. Getting back to the field, she has the advantage of numbers against us. That normally wouldn't be a problem, but given that I only have 8 cards left, I can't sit there fusing into Thunder Dragons. What I'm likely going to do is leave a sacrificial monster in attack position so she can hit into it and then have me finish it off. Oh, you're friggin' kidding me. Well, there's Swords of Revealing Light number 2. This is a problem, but thankfully we draw into our 3rd spell card, which is Sogen, which should make that effective attack just that little bit easier. Having lost track of some of the counts as I was playing this duel, I was on the fence about using Dark Hole. I couldn't remember at that point whether I'd needed 3 spells or 4 spells to finish off the duel. This is also the last turn of her Swords of Revealing Light. To make sure that she doesn't pop another one, I am going to use the Dark Hole to give her the advantage. In doing so, she'll summon a card in attack position, giving me the free effective attack to finish the duel. The risk, of course, is that she brings out something I can't hit over. And going from our hand, we have at least enough for a Twin Head. If she summons our own Twin Head, it's game over. Over to you, Naomi. Summon, okay, Karyushin. We can definitely work with that. With 2 cards left in our deck, we fuse out our last Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon and attack for game over Karyushin. Ishizu goes down, and for our effort she awards us a friggin' Kappa. Are you kidding me? This game is just laughing at me at this point. So be it. I'm gonna run a deck with 3 Kappas. Is that what you want? That's what you got. To top things off, we lost to Ishizu in the most troll way possible. Having only 3 cards left in our deck and triggering our last trap, she activated Swords of Revealing Light, forcing me to deck myself out. I was 1 attack away from finishing this, so I guess well played to you, Ishizu. Back at the card shop, we're now on to the last match of the tournament, and that's against Kaiba. We are spoiled for choice when it comes to Kaiba. On his BCD tables, he drops Dragon Capture Jar and a few useful dragons. On the S-Tech side, he drops Crush Card and Bright Castle, as well as Harpy's Feather Duster while we're at it. I'm going to drive myself insane and aim for the S-Tech for the Bright Castle. It's our last chance of getting it, so it's worth giving it a shot. Kaiba is a pain in the ass of a duelist. If you have the advantage in attack power and leave him on the field with at least 1 to 2 monsters, he'll almost always activate Crush Card. If he's having a particularly bad day, out of nowhere he'll activate Dark Hole. Like with the Pegasus duel, if we lose any of our traps to his Dark Hole, we can kiss our tech rank goodbye. Sorry, I'm slightly incorrect at that. It is still possible to pull off a tech rank with at least 1 trap, but we'd have to change a few of the parameters, namely putting our life points under 1000, having only 3 cards left in the deck, and I think from memory we need about 4 effective attacks. It's just a bit too risky for my liking. Looking back at our field, we've set ourselves up with 2 face down traps. And to bait Kaiba into an attack, we slap him with the left arm of Exodia. Ooh, that touched the nerve. There we go. That's 1 fake trap out of the way. Setting another monster, we pass the game back to Kaiba. And why do I even bother? Much to my enjoyment, he activated Dark Hole to clear away my field. Well, guess we're going for the BCD rank then. Leaving Kaiba with 200 life points, he sets a face down and passes the turn to us. So long as it's not a Labyrinth wall, this duel is as good as ours. Landing the final attack, Kaiba drops us Dragon Capture Jar. I'll accept that peace offering Forbidden Memories as payback for all those Kappas you dropped me earlier. Having finished up at the World Tournament, we throw the Millennium items into the air, which somehow teleports us back to Simon. Simon is going off to live with the main menu and won't be seeing us for the rest of this run. Saying our farewells, we make our way back to Egypt. Wanting to keep that Dragon Capture Jar, I'm off to save my game instead of heading over to Sidin. Gaining access to the duel grounds, we decline the duel with Jono and Teana, exit and save our game. It is at this point we hit a bunch of repeatable opponents. All the residents of the duel grounds, except for old Greg, can be dueled as many times as we'd like, up until the point we trigger the Seto3 Cutscene. Being done with S-Techs for the time being, we revert our deck back to the way it was. Kicking out all the traps, we sub in all the equipped cards we slotted out earlier. The first opponent we're going to face is Teana. There is nothing we are going to target from her. Teana Second's drop table is almost identical to Teana First. If anything, I'd argue it's actually worse. Her BCD no longer gives you any equipped cards, and her SA Tech table adds Silver Bow and Arrow to its equip roster. Everything else is worse, even the trap cards. At this point in the game, she's dropping you House of Adhesive Tape. Fake Trap is 10 times better than that card. In my opinion, both Teana and Teana Second have the sole purpose of dropping you Right Arm of the Forbidden One. There are a bunch of other opponents that can do it, but she's by far the easiest of the lot. Anywho, we are now getting down to the last 2 turns of the game. Clearing away her giant egg, we attack her directly for 2100. Over to her, she summons out a Gaikatena Megami, makes quick work of the Skelgon but leaves her open for an attack, which is great for us. Throwing an equip card on Darkfire Dragon, we attack into Gaikatena Megami and attack for game with Black Dragon Jungle King. We win. Teana second goes down, and it doesn't matter what she drops us, it's a Sinister Serpent by the way, and we hit the next button over to Jono second. Well, the next button a few times. You have to talk to each of the villagers before you get back to Jono. Now, Jono second is a fantastic opponent. At an S or A power rank, we're getting Red Eyes Black Dragon and Meteor Black Dragon. And what's more, he is completely repeatable. We are 110% going to go for his Red Eyes. As for Meteor Black Dragon, we're probably going to be here a while, so I'll return to him after we pay a visit to the Meadow Shrine if all else fails. The lower mages of this game are also repeatable, so long as you don't defeat their high mage. My key goal with Jono is just to get 3 copies of Red Eyes. If I happen to get a Meteor Black in the process, big bonus for us. Given that I have the ability to also fuse out a Summon Skull, we can use it to make Black Skull Dragon. I don't think I've ever done that in a story playthrough, so it'll be pretty fun to do it this time round. Anywho, that was fast. Jono second goes down and gives us a Man-Eater bug. 257 duels later, we finally get 3 copies of Red Eyes Black Dragon. In the process, he also dropped us 2 Meteor Black Dragons, which is friggin' amazing. Given that I now have access to Meteor Black, I'm going to spend a few S-Tech duels to get 3 copies of Salamandra. In total, we sat here for 272 duels against Jono second. Remember, this is a challenge run and not a speed run. Our updated deck looks like this. No further grinding is required. We are more than capable of beating this game with the current setup. But why stop here? I want to see just how overpowered we can get under our current constraints. So off to Sidin we go. Hi Sidin. Ah crap, I forgot the map. Bye Sidin. Off to the Mage Soldier we go. The core card I'm looking to farm from him is Dark Energy. It's needed to power up our twin-headed Thunder Dragon. I'm not overly desperate for it, given that we have Meteor Black Dragon and 4 compatible equip cards. Dark Energy would drop from his BCD table as well as his S-Tech, so let's go ahead and aim for the BCD while we're here. If we spend time trying to tech rank him, we do have the chance of obtaining Acid Trap Hole and Widespread Ruin. I've decided to quit the trap farming as the lower mages are my next repeatable opponents and I can tech them as many times as I want. The fixation on traps was really only for the World Tournament, where I only had 1 attempt at each opponent. Given that I've screwed that up royally, let's not bother with it. Getting back to the duel, we have steamrolled the Mage Soldier. I'm pleasantly surprised that Rainbow Flower is staying alive all this time. Good on you, mate. This is the last turn of the duel. I got too excited and accidentally A-power ranked him. I completely forgot that I was going for the BCD. Oh well, nonetheless, Mage Soldier goes down and he awards us with a big insect. Squashing him like the bug that he is, we find the map and make our way back to Sidin. Freaking this guy out for a second time, he leads us to the Forbidden Ruins. We examine the ancient Egyptian Golden Wall and find out from Seto, who followed us in here by the way, that this was the early version of this game's main menu. Chuckling at the fact that we don't have access to it, he exits with a smile on his face and leaves us to deal with the high mages. Goodbye Sidin for the second time, because it's time we strap ourselves in and get ready to grind against all the lower mages. Starting off first, we're going to head straight to the Meadow Shrine. The target is his power table. We need to get another copy of Meteor Black Dragon, and whilst we're here, upgrade all the lower dragons we have in our deck. If a Skull Knight and Dark Magician drops, bigger bonus for us. I'd love to have them in our deck. All the lower mages in this game, not sure if I mentioned it before, can be rebattled any number of times so long as you don't defeat their high mage. All you need to do when you're prompted with the dialogue to proceed ahead is to exit and re-enter. That will force you to rebattle these guys again. That confused the ever-loving heck out of me as a child, because I would go back, save my game and re-attempt the shrine, and for some reason think that I had broken my memory card, because the stupid mage was sitting there to greet me one more time. Defeating the lower mage for the first time, we obtain a mammoth graveyard, exit out, re-enter, and repeat this process 136 times. In all those attempts, we got 2 copies of Cursed Dragon, 2 Dark Magicians, 2 copies of Gaia the Fierce Knight, 3 copies of Kaminari Attack, 3 Metal Dragons, 3 Meteor Dragons, 1 Meteor Black Dragon, and 1 Skull Knight. With all those drops at our disposal, our revised deck after Meadow Mage looks like this. I could spend more time and get more copies of Skull Knight and Dark Magician, but I'm gonna focus on the hard hitting dragons instead. The 3 Kappas remain in my deck because the game seems to want them there, and we're now ready to face Kepura. This will be a good litmus test for us given that he is the strongest amongst all the mages. Even with a deck as stacked as the one I've got, Kepura is still a threat. To hit over his boosted Gate Guardian, we need Meteor Black Dragon and 1 equip card. Thankfully, the 3 Salamanders in our deck cover us for that. If we can draw them, of course. Fortunately for us, his turn 1 monster was Black Skull Dragon. Fusing out a Meteor Black, we make quick work of it. Back to Kepura, and he responds with a defense position monster. I am 80% certain that is a Millennium Shield, which sucks for us. I don't have the Guardian Star advantage, so I'm gonna have to wait this one out for another equip. With another back and forth with Kepura, we dump the entirety of our hand. Goodbye Dark Magician. And clear away his face down monster, which turned out to be Harpy's pet dragon. Back to Kepura, and the Balchinian managed to top deck a Gate Guardian, which is not that great for us. We empty out our hand once more and brace ourselves for impact. The new problem we're facing is decking out, because without access to Raigeki, we don't have a reliable way of clearing away his field. I'm gonna have to play methodically and bait out some attacks. To make matters worse, he boosted up his Millennium Shield. I can hit over Gate Guardian with a Guardian Star advantage, but unfortunately, having the shield locked at 4000 means I need 2 equips on Meteor Black. And lovely, for added stall, he drops the Swords of Revealing Light. With 15 cards left, I can't just dump my entire hand. I'll keep dumping until I see Salamandra, but after that, I'd need to only use 1 card per turn. After this first discard, we're going to be left with 8 cards in our deck, which realistically is 4 cards, because 2 of those are Salamandras, and 2 of those are needed for at least 1 other fusion to hit him for game. So yeah, I guess I should count that as only 4 cards in the deck. Oh well. With 1 turn left on Swords of Revealing Light, we pass the game back to Kepura, who sets a field of 4 defense monsters. Setting out a bait target, we clear away his Millennium Shield and clear out one of his monsters. Thankfully, rather than summoning another, he chose to use one of his existing to fuse into Crimson Sunbird. This looks like a win for us unless he uses a second Swords of Revealing Light. Leaving the big man with 1150 life points, we pass the turn over to him and see how he responds. Oh thank frick, it's victory. He summoned a monster. We clear it away with one of our Meteor Black Dragons and land the final attack with Road Eyes Black Dragon. Kepura goes down and he awards us a Hitotsumi Giant. Well, this was traumatic, but thankfully, victory was achieved in 1 attempt. I can't hold things off for much longer. I need a Raigeki. Over to the Sea Shrine we go and up against the Ocean Mage. There are 2 cards we need from this guy. They're all available from his tech table. One being Raigeki of course, and the other, Beast Fangs. Whilst I'm here, if I happen to get any copies of Invigoration, I might slot those in so long as they don't clog up the rest of the deck. They're only really useful for Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. Nothing else takes advantage of it. It'd be nice to also get a few more Thunders from here, hence why I'm going for Power Strats for this duel. Regardless, Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon has already been power crept by Meteor Black, and to a lesser extent Black Skull Dragon if I can fuse it out. But enough of that, we land the final attack with our Twin Head, and the first drop we get is an Armor Knight. 61 duels later, Ocean Mage drops us 3 copies of Beast Fangs, 1 Invigoration, 1 Embryonic Beast, and 3 copies of Raigeki. How I've missed you. Back at the shrine, we continue on towards Segmenton. Fishbeard over here doesn't offer us anything worth grinding for. Not that I can grind, we only have 1 attempt at this guy. If you look at his S-Tech table, he does offer you a chance at Crush Card. I say a chance, but really you're not going to get it. 0.1%. Don't even bother. Aside from that, his tech table can drop you a Harpy's Feather Duster and Acid Trap Hole. Everything else isn't really necessary, unless you're going for a specific fusion. His Power table and the BCD table are pretty pathetic for a High Mage of the Seas. He drops you only 1 Thunder card, that being Thunder Dragon. His Laurel Mage redeemed it, but geez, pretty bad. Anywho, Segmenton goes down due to an attack from our Thunder Dragon, and he drops us a Phantom Duin. Stealing his Millennium item, because I forgot that we're doing that, we exit the shrine and it's time for the Seto2 encounter. When beginning this encounter, we lock ourselves out of further duels with Teana second. Oh, the humanity. But never fret, our next opponent is the Labyrinth Mage. He is another repeatable opponent, so long as you select the wrong path each time. There is a slight inconvenience. We are unable to save in between duels. What makes matters worse, if I happen to lose, we can kiss all our prior grinding goodbye. Is it possible to lose? Most definitely. He runs Gate Guardian and Stop Defense. You brick your hand at least twice and it's most definitely game over. Fortunately for us, given that we have access to Media Black Dragon, so long as I can draw into it and set it to a Sun Guardian star, we're almost guaranteed the victory. Now, for Labyrinth Mage, we're going for the A power rank. There is one card that we're targeting, and that's Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. I want 3 copies of that, because why not? Getting to the last turn of the game, it's time for the first drop. Clearing away Sanger of the Thunder, we're awarded with Rock Ogre Grotto 2. Right, better dial up the speed up, because we are going to be here for a while. We selected the wrong path 285 times, and we were awarded finally with 3 copies of Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon. A bunch of other cards dropped for us, but they're not as important right now. Navigating the labyrinth, we emerge to find Heishin flaunting the main menu at us, and Seto is happy to be holding hands with a female. Looking to put an end to this non-consented game of Ring Around the Rosie, we challenge him to a duel. After wearing myself out grinding on the Labyrinth Mage, I slotted in the 3 copies of Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon into our deck. Seto2 is the only opponent left outside of the final 6 where we can attempt to win a Dragon Treasure. Dragon Treasure is on his S-Tech table, and honestly, I can't be bothered going for it. Instead, we're going to go for the power rank, which nets us a chance at Zoa and other monsters similar in power. With the awesome first few turns we had, there's a good chance we'll hit that. Landing the final attack, the card we're awarded with is a Pumpkin King of Ghosts. Oh well. We break up the unwanted contact between Seto and Teana and get banned from Millennium TwitchCon for trying to keep everybody's hands to themselves. Returning to the grounds, we say goodbye to our friends and all future grinding for this run. Time to take on more mages. Starting off, we have the Forest Shrine. Forest Mage does not drop us anything we'd need for this deck, so this duel should be over in a couple of turns. Looking at the drop table, almost all of the lower mages drop similar equipped cards in their S ranks. Had I not set up my deck the way it is now, we'd be going for Beast Fangs and Invigoration. As for the monsters in his power table, he drops the strongest plant cards in Rose Spectre of Dun and Queen of Autumn Leaves. Speaking of strong cards, an interesting thing I noted in Forest Mage's deck is that he holds a copy of Reverse Trap. He is the only lower mage to have that card, and for those that have never seen it, it activates when you attempt to power up a monster with an equip card. It does what the card says, reverses the equip, so that plus 500 equip is now minus 500. It will be interesting to see how things pan out when I eventually move to the character runs, but for now, we attack directly with Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon and Forest Mage goes down. He awards us a Fiend Hand for our spoils. Next up is Anubisius. The biggest threat is his perfectly ultimate Great Moth, which is easily countered by our Media Black Dragon, if we set its Guardian Star to Mars of course. We'll still need 1 equip to hit over it, but nonetheless, it keeps things in check. As things are right now, I didn't draw into any of them, so we're at the mercy to some overpowered bugs, and I never thought I'd say that in Forbidden Memories. It is at this point of the game that I realised something terrible. I forgot to grab Bean Soldier off the Forest Mage. If I defeat Anubisius, there's no way to go back and get it. He is the only repeatable opponent on this side of the story. We'll just have to hope that Anubisius, Atenza or Neku drops one for us. In all honesty, I think our soldier deserves a rest after the last video. Instead of using him, we'll charge valiantly into battle with our trio of Parappa the Psychic Kappas instead. Yes, all 3 of those are staying in my deck until we beat Nightmare. Getting back to the duel, I'm getting my butt kicked, but we finally draw into a Media Black Dragon, so it's time to turn the tables. We are almost certain to get a BC-D rank from this duel. Looking at the table, the strongest card Anubisius can drop is YuGiOh, and another chance at Bean Soldier. Attacking for game, and Bandaged Face goes down. He awards us with Urabi. Damn. Stealing his Millennium Key, that's another mage down. Off to the desert we go, cause we're up against Discount Pinwheel. Or at least the lower Discount Pinwheel. Don't know what to call him. Mask of the Discount Child. Anywho, our starting hand is gnarly. Yes, I said gnarly. Blame Cat's Eye for that one, it plays a lot on the radio around here. Anyways, turn 1 Media Black Dragon would end this duel in a flash. as well as the copious amounts of equipped cards we just added to our twin-headed Thunder Dragon. Getting to the final turn of the duel, yes, that quick. We activate Raigeki to clear his field, then activate a second Raigeki to hit him for 3500. Desert Mage goes down and he awards us a Needle Ball. That has got to be one of the coolest art glitches I've ever seen in this game. Always seems to happen on Meteor Black Dragon for some reason, at least in my case. Alright, our next opponent is Martis. We're going for the A rank, 1 cause it's faster, and 2 because I want another chance at a Bean Soldier. Turn 1 we create a Meteor Black Dragon and immediately start gaining momentum. Sadly, no twin head in turn 2, so we threaten him with a Blue Cloud. Martis, despite being a Desert Mage, drops some seriously beefy Fiend monsters in his A table. They're actually the strongest cards he can award you, those being Zoa, Soul Hunter, and Ushi-Oni. As for his S-Tech table, it's pretty trash honestly. The only half decent card is Dark Energy, which isn't even worth grinding for because Mage Soldier drops it at double the odds. With all my ranting out of the way, we hit for game with Meteor Black. Martis goes down and gives us Lord of the Lamp. We also steal his cooking scales in the process. We now make our way to the last shrine of the game, and that's the Mountain Shrine. Walking on water just to be with you, we're up against Chin Mage. Low Mountain Mage is probably the second best mage next to Meadow Mage in this game. He drops almost the same amount of cards as Meadow Mage, just at lower rates. And his tech table is really stacked. You want any ritual? Get it from him. You want some decent equipped cards like Beast Fangs? Get it from him. You want another chance at Dian Keta the Cure Master? If you remember that he actually drops that card, get it from him. Unlike me. I forgot about it. That would have been an easy Megamorph. Oh well. We hit for game with Red Eyes and Mountain Mage goes down. He awards us with a Monster Eye. Oh, strongest thing in the game by far. Moving along, we reach High Mage Atenza. This is our last shot at a Bean Soldier. Not that we're going for it, but it'd be neat if he dropped it. His drop tables are rather lackluster. Over on his power rank, you're going to get your strongest winged beast monsters. He's actually the best opponent in a normal playthrough to obtain them from. I'll be sure to remember that when I hit the wing beast run. Getting back to the duel, we intimidate Atenza with a mighty psychic Kappa. He retaliates by summoning out a Seiyaru and going for the twin head, because I accidentally left this one on Moon. Drawing into a Skull Knight, we set it to Mercury so it has the Guardian Star advantage, and give him some fangs. We hit over Seiyaru and attack again with Psychic Kappa. This duel just got real, but unfortunately it's short-lived. He summons out a Crimson Sunbird and takes out one of our Kappas. How friggin' dare he? In retaliation, we summon out another twin-headed Thunder Dragon, and we're basically down to the last 2 turns of the game. Clearing away his field and attacking directly, we are now down to the last turn of the game. Atenza sends a monster in defense mode, and we summon out another copy of Twin Head. Attacking once with Skull Knight, we finish things off with our second Twin Head. Atenza goes down. The last card we get awarded is the Snake Hair. Well, that sucks. Having defeated all the mages, we go outside, save our game, and prep ourselves up for the final 6. Not that there is any prep, because we're jumping straight into things. We say hi to Seto again, wonder how he travels the map so fast, accept his offer to open the door, and say the quickest hello to Sebek and Neku, because these duels will be over in a heartbeat. Drawing up our first hand, and of course, we land into a Meteor Black Dragon. This card decimates the early final 6. Almost all of the heavy hitters at the start are Moon Guardian Stars. The only exception is Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and I guess perfectly ultimate Great Moth that Heishin 2 carries. But even then, if you see it, change his sign back to Mars and the duel will be over before you can say Raigeki for the win and attack for game. Timing that perfectly, Sebek goes down, he gives us a twin-headed King Rex, and we move on to Neku. There's only one thing you need to remember for Neku. Do not summon Meteor Black Dragon with the Sun Guardian sign. Ignore what I did just then. Neku is smart enough to retaliate with a Mercury Skull Knight, which thankfully he doesn't do in my case. If you mess up with a Guardian sign, there's one way to change it. Attempt to do a fusion with that card using any spell, trap, magic or equip that it's not compatible with. When it bounces off the card, it lets you change the sign again. Getting back to the duel, we land the final attack against Neku with Meteor Black Dragon. He goes down and awards us a Visago the Destroyer. Heishin is looking pretty smug, wondering how he made it all the way here without the main menu. Buddy, the chest of 1,255 cards tells you exactly how I made it here. Our starting hand draws us both a Kappa and a Meteor Black Dragon. We'll save the Kappas for Nightmare. A boosted Meteor Black should be enough for this duel, so long as he doesn't use Raigeki on us. Drawing into another Meteor Black Dragon, we have effectively trivialized the final 6. What the friggin' hell, guys. I'm sorry that this is lackluster. But after all that S-Tech grinding earlier in this video, I think you can appreciate a bit of a speedrun. With all good things coming in threes, we summon yet another Meteor Black Dragon and put an end to Heishin 2, who awards us with a Gemini Elf. In Heishin's defeat, he drops the main menu, which is immediately claimed by Seto. Purple Prince hasn't realised that the menu does not work during the final 6. That's right, he does suck. Baby-O agrees that rather than correct him, we should let him monologue and show us the rest of the story. Now, Seto 3rd drops almost every card you could possibly want. Unfortunately, he's at the end of the game, which makes him completely useless. At least for the purposes of our playthrough. And speaking of useless, Seto's first turn. He set a monster in defense position. That means he royally bricked. The final 6 around this side of the game have about 20 cards in their hand they can pick from. He picked Guy the Dragon Champion. That means he did not have an Ultimate Dragon, Meteor Black Dragon, nor a Gate Guardian. Heck, not even a basic Blue Eyes White Dragon. Majorly bricked. Which is I guess a little bit disappointing. I always like to see a bit more of a challenge from the last 2 opponents because it feels like a free win at times. Nonetheless, we treat this duel like Sebek and Neku and move our way over to the next opponent. Oh, and he dropped us the Shadow who controls the dark. Again, useless. In Seto's defeat, Heishin sneaks up behind him and pulls a knife out. This could have been avoided if the Millennium Victorian government brought out more machete amnesty bins. That would have solved this problem. Anywho, political satire aside, we place the Millennium items in a sarcophagus and bring Darknite into this world. Darknite seems displeased. He's detected a blockage of Wuxing, so he sets Heishin on fire to rebalance the feng shui in the southern corner of the shrine. Don't ask me how he knows so much about interior design. Looking to ignite us next, we calm his soul by playing the soothing sounds of a 2000s magic tube. Ugh, makes me want to throw up. Confused as heck, Darknite challenges us to a duel. This duel should be free. The strongest card in Darknite's deck is Meteor Black Dragon, and most of the time, going by my encounters, he prefers to summon Cosmo Queen instead. 1 Meteor Black Dragon and 1 Salamandra is all that's needed to win this duel. On top of that, we're drawn to yet another OP hand, so I forgive Forbidden Memories for all the earlier S-Tech shenanigans during the World Tournament. Anywho, we activate Raigeki for the win and attack for game with Meteor Black Dragon. Darknite goes down and he awards us a Dark Grey. Dropping a flashbang, Darknite disappears and out from the light emerges Nightmare. Time for our final duel of the story. The game plan for this duel is to do a victory lap. I'm going to summon out the strongest monsters my deck can make, provided I draw into the right cards of course. Nightmare summoning a turn 1 moon means he did not draw into an ultimate dragon. I welcome the brick and land our next hit. Attacking with Meteor Black and Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, Nightmare responds with a face down. Combining Embryonic Beast with Time Wizard creates Summon Skull, and fusing Red Eyes Black Dragon into the mix nets us a Black Skull Dragon. We hit for 32 and pass the game back. For these next 2 turns, we need to set up our victory. There is 1 card that needs to be out on the field. But until I manage to draw it, we're going to whittle away his life points just enough that it can land the final blow. We bait out the attack with Thousand Dragon, and he's responded to with a Skull Knight. Perfect. And look at that! We drew the exact card we needed. Psychic Kappa. Given that this game awarded us 4 of the damn things, 1 in the starting deck and 3 in the World Tournament, it's only fair that we give Nightmare the Kappa. Being just shy of a victory, we need to send out another sacrificial monster. Curse of Dragon, you're up. I'm sorry I didn't make Guy the Dragon Champion, despite having 4 copies of it in my chest. Maybe next time. Anywho, he takes the bait and summons out yet another Skull Knight. This is it. We summon out Psychic Kappa and hit into his Skull Knight with Black Skull Dragon. Leaving Nightmare with exactly 100 life points, Kappa lands the final blow and brings this story to an end. The final card that drops for this run is Dorova. Poorly mimicking the sound of our magic tube, Nightmare fades off into the distance. Sitting atop our throne, it's time we answer the important question. Can you beat YuGiOh Forbidden Memories without accessing the main menu? Yes, yes you can. Time for the run wrap up. The campaign took 1,223 duels to complete, of which we lost a total of 4 times, all of those due to failed S-Techs. Doing a quick retrospective, outside of knowing the card drops, I recorded this entire challenge blind. Jono and Jono 2 being completely repeatable, trivialized both the early and late game. Early Jono gives us dragons and a thunder, and Jono 2nd gives you Meteor Black Dragon and Salamandra. For consistency, I would agree that grinding against the Ocean Mage for a Raigeki is necessary to counter Blue Eye's ultimate dragons. Alternatively, you can use him to adjust your deck, to purely focus on Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon and its associated equips. In short, if we were to do this again, I'd skip all the unnecessary S-Tech duels and lock in with a win with Jono and Jono 2nd. Hey everyone, Jono here. Thank you all so much for making it to the end of this video. It's a busy time of the year for me, so I appreciate the patience you've all given me to work through this one at my own pace. Speaking of appreciation, I want to give a shout out to my supporters on YouTube and Twitch. In no particular order on YouTube, we have John Campbell 45, Favio VHS, Hollywood Big Box, and the Snogbox 1. Over on Twitch we have Rancid Fever, Denunu, Bexicat, formerly Alexis Bexus, Dark Adder 69, Shanna Hart 33, and Marios UK. All of you are awesome, seriously. I haven't decided what the next one's going to be just yet. Ideally, I'd like to do something that I can finish this side of the year so I can leave you something nice for Christmas. In any case, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to stay notified of my next release. And as always, stay awesome people. Hope you all draw a Raigeki for the win, and I'll be seeing you all soon. Take care for now.